Yes, thank you for that Manhattan. The gentleman who bought me that Manhattan. All right. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Goes well with the 3 I had earlier. Very, very good. Okay, all right, welcome back. Now, Okay America. Okay America. That was pretty great, huh? I mean, oh man, there's nothing like seeing all those old character actors from the 30s. You know, Lucille, Walter Catlett playing Lucille. That was good. So the movie you're about to see, you get all those character actors again, an incredible roster, including, I might add, more of Lewis Calhern, who played Mile Away in the last film, and you get to see in a bigger role Edward Arnold once again, who played the big man. You mean the big man? Yes. Duke Morgan in Okay America returns as Jake Skelly in Afraid to Talk. This film is so incredibly cynical. It's kind of mind-boggling and jaw-dropping at the same time. And I just want to say a couple of things about a couple of interesting performers who are in this film that I'm pretty certain no one has ever heard of. Right now, you know, Lewis Calhern and Edward Arnold went on to have big, successful careers in Hollywood. And Lewis Calhern especially has a special place in my heart because of his performance as Alonzo P. Emmerich in The Asphalt Jungle, where he utters probably my single favorite line in film noir when he says to his wife, "My dear, crime is just a left-handed form of human endeavor." That's a good one. And Edward Arnold, of course, always played that same character in every movie he was ever in. You know, he was like the big, blowhard, powerful dude. I mean, he played Diamond Jim Brady in a movie called Diamond Jim in the 30s, and that was kind of it. That typecast him forever in that part of it. A man with too much power. Like, I mean, it was so funny watching him in that last movie. He says, "So the president thinks I'm too powerful." It's like, yeah, that's the part he would play forever in movies, right? But Afraid to Talk is very interesting because the two leads, the two sympathetic leads, the poor oppressed couple that are the protagonists of this film, Eric Linden is virtually unknown today. And he was sort of like, in the early 1930s, Eric Linden was sort of like a prototype of James Dean. He was a New York street kid. He had no father. His father sort of abandoned the family when he was very, very young. He was a newsie. He hawked newspapers in New York. He was discovered very early on, and he played sort of the misunderstood, angry, rebellious teenager in movies in the early 1930s. It's like the stuff that you expected to see in the 1950s. There was like a whole genre of these types of films in the early 1930s. And Eric Linden was the troubled youth in these films, right? These Are Children was like his debut in the movies. And then he played with Jimmy Cagney. He played Jimmy Cagney's younger brother in his next film, the title which escapes me at the moment. But and he really struggled with being this young-looking kid in the movies and fought against it terribly, and really hated his Hollywood career. And like his last role of any significance was when they cast him in Gone with the Wind. He has a little bit part in Gone with the Wind where Vivian Leigh visits him in the hospital, and he has this very dramatic scene where he cries about them amputating his leg. And they cut most of that scene out of the movie. And at that point he said, "You know what, screw it." And he left movies, and he ended up like being a road inspector in Southern California later in his life, and just completely abandoned the movies. And the woman who plays his wife in this film is an actress named Sydney Fox, who, okay, there's no way around this. I mean, the thing about Sydney Fox, who wasn't even 5 feet tall, is that she was having an affair when she was making this movie with Carl Laemmle Jr., the producer, and Carl Laemmle Sr., his father. I mean, that is just, yeah, Sidney Fox is a girl, yes. Would have really been a news flash. Wow. Talk about pre-code. My goodness. So beyond that, I mean, this is a really kind of a remarkable film. It's based on a stage play written by George Sklar and Albert Maltz. And Albert Maltz would go on to have a significant place in noir film because he was the co-screenwriter of The Naked City, which Jules Dassin made in 1948. And that was sort of a watershed for location filming and sort of semi-documentary filmmaking, and sort of the birth of the police procedural in cinema. And Albert Maltz had a lot to do with that. But his, you know, he got his bona fides writing this film, which is based on a true story of a young man who witnesses a crime and then is set up to take the fall for this, as you'll see in the film, by the authorities and organized crime. And it's directed by a man named Edward L. Cahn, and this is, I believe, the fourth film that Edward Cahn directed at Universal. He was a contract director at Universal in the early 30s, and it's really, really good. His direction is really good in this. By the 1950s, Edward L. Cahn had the distinction of being one of the really big hacks in Hollywood. I mean, this guy directed pictures in all genres, you know, science fiction movies, westerns, all with virtually no distinction whatsoever. And it's kind of fascinating to see a guy just get tired. I mean, that's basically what happened. But man, I got to tell you, in this movie, he's in the prime of his life because he does a really, really good job with his film. So this has an alternate title. It's called Merry-Go-Round. That was the name of the play upon which it is based. But it is truly a very noir story, and to me, very much a prototype of the genre, of the man, the innocent man who sees something he shouldn't see, and then all hell breaks loose and the world caves in on him. And it's a pretty remarkable story. I'm not going to spoil plot, but I'll probably be at 10 Mercer later if you want to go over there, and I can tell you how the stage play ends and how it's different than the movie, but I'm not going to do that right now. So, I hope you enjoy this evening of pre-code proto-noir, and I'm very happy that you all came out tonight to see this unique example of the form. So enjoy Afraid to Talk. Thanks.